Welcome back to Rich Words Music, where today I'm at 42 Gear Street 3 at Henning Pauli's house in central Germany, and I'm joined by my wonderful guest today, Perfecto De Castro.
Hello everybody, I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Rich.
Yeah, thanks for coming on again.
Yeah.
I've had 2 or 3 video appearances from you right now, but
all very fun videos.
Yeah, indeed, all very musical videos. But this is more the deep talk. This is the story behind Perfecto.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Do I expect to cry at some point?
It's possible. But a box of tissues down there ready to go just in case you need it.
Okay, cool.
So we're all good. No, but what I want to know is kind of just the story behind you, because you've got a very large YouTube channel, 150,000-ish subscribers.
It hit over 267. Actually.
There you go. You see? It's an extra 117,000 since I last checked, which wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Exactly. So a big channel, big business. And despite that, I don't know that much about the story behind you, the man behind the machine.
Okay.
So that's what I wanted to find out a little bit today, and talk about your influences, where you came from, what makes you tick beyond the YouTube channel. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So let's go right back into history and talk about young Perfecto and how he first got into guitar and playing music. Where did this journey begin for you?
Okay. It began when I was in second year high school, and we got into high school early, so that was around when I was 13 going on 14. And the music teacher at the beginning of the school year challenged the whole class to learn to play at least one instrument by the end of the year. And there you go.
Sorry.
And then I chose guitar. I've had piano lessons before. I didn't really like it, didn't take. So I chose guitar, and then my little group had an interest in forming a band, so we formed the band. I actually joined the band first as a singer, and then the guitar player at the time really didn't work out, and I started taking guitar lessons.
Yeah.
And I started showing him, hey, do this. Oh, why don't you play guitar? Okay, I'll play guitar. And then it that generally started it, and then it took over as a passion. I would practice 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
And just devour every resource that I could get, and just play as much as I could, to the point where I met a really good guitar teacher who introduced me to all the stuff that I'm doing currently, like all the shred stuff and all the theory and all that. I met him when I was 15. I had lessons with him for 6 months, and then he went off to a cruise ship gig and gave me his teaching practice. So I took over teaching duties for him.
Oh wow! Okay.
At a local Yamaha School of Music, and from there I went into music school. And then right around 1993, 94, I got into one of the biggest bands in the Philippines at the time. We released our record. We toured the country. We did MTV. We did the whole thing, and then towards the mid-90s, that kind of died down, so I focused more on working my own studio. I had a recording studio back then. And then I went back to school to get my classical guitar degree. Yeah. And then, what else? And all the while I was still performing and touring and producing records and all that. And then by 2004, I was already married with a kid, and my wife got hired as a registered nurse in the U.S. So that prompted her move to Los Angeles.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then I continued my career there, first as a concert classical guitarist, because I didn't want to deal with looking for band members, and then it was so much easier to do when I was by myself. Then around 2006, I discovered YouTube as a place to put my videos on. Not really as a business, because then it was just a way for me to share video with people back home, and they don't have to download a large file, or I can just send the link through email and they can go click on it.
Yeah.
I did that for a while. And it was a mishmash of stuff. So there'd be guitar playing, and then sometimes I'd play electric, sometimes I'd play whatever I could think of. I had some classical guitar videos as well.
Yeah.
And then at one point, I got heavily into mountain biking. I uploaded mountain bike videos. And until one day I got a comment saying, "Hey dude, we subscribed to you for guitar stuff. I know you're proud of your kid and you're riding bikes, but we miss the guitar stuff." And at first I didn't get it. Like, it's my channel. I'll put whatever I want. And then later on, after some thought, oh yeah, okay, he's right. So then from there, it's just, I focused on a guitar and music channel.
So you've done a lot over the years, but
oh yeah, maybe too much.
But what were your big inspirations when you started playing guitar? Did you have goals, and did you have players and styles that you wanted to emulate specifically?
Yeah.
Who would have that been?
I got into playing guitar. Well, aside from the music teacher, I also went to my very first concert at that time. So a fairly big band, and they're playing originals. And the band is called The Dawn, and the guitar player was Teddy Diaz. And as soon as I saw him on stage, and there was a row of chicks behind me, all going crazy and shouting, "Teddy, we love you, Teddy!" I thought Teddy was the singer. Then later on, when I learned that Teddy was the guitar player, I want his job. I want his job. So he's probably the first guy to really push me into it. And then when I when I met the guitar teacher at 15, that's when I got into the whole shred thing. He introduced me to Paul Gilbert, Vinnie Moore. Mostly those two guys, and then plus a smattering of other people. But he lent me his VHS instructional guys of those two guys, and that supplemented all the guitar magazines that I bought. Yeah. Prior to that, I was into punk. I wanted to play new wave, but I couldn't afford the pedals, so I went to punk because you only have to turn up your amp.
Yeah, exactly.
Then after a while, I wanted to play more interesting music, so I got into Guns N' Roses, Cinderella, the whole 80s metal thing. Yeah, and then when I was introduced to Paul Gilbert and Vinnie Moore, and of course by extension Steve Vai and Nuno Bettencourt and all those. Yeah, pretty much anybody I saw in the magazines, I would seek them out.
Yeah. And
fortunately, some of the records I was able to get in cassette form in the Philippines, and I just listened to them, played them, and tried to find as much as I could. It was pretty much an obsession.
Yeah.
I've tried the 10-hour guitar workout, the Steve Vai 10-hour guitar workout. I did that for one day and I didn't play guitar for a week because I was so sick. But, I tried it out.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you joined one of the biggest bands in the Philippines at some point, but I'm guessing there were other projects before then?
Because I got into that teaching practice early on, I was 15. And then when the next several years, I started meeting a lot of musicians.
Yeah. And
we were, I wanted to play with as many people as I could. So I had my own band, my own originals band, and we were starting to get gigs here and there.
Yeah.
And then I would seek out other musicians, and then one particular fun recollection would be one of my old drummers was playing for the biggest rap artist in the Philippines at that time, Francis Magalona. And I went to their gig, and he had a full backing band with him, 3-piece rock band with a DJ, which in 1992 nobody was doing, So I asked, and there was a spare guitar there. "Hey, can I jam with you guys?" "Okay, yeah, come on. So I got on stage, did the set. I didn't know their songs, but I just added parts and jammed with them. And suddenly, 2 days after, I got a call from Francis' management. "Are you available at this gig? Come on over. You can play." So apparently, I joined this band. So that was fun. And then at the same, I had a bunch of things happening, but it all came to a point where I had to choose. So it was down to staying in the Francis M band and going with River Maya, which is the other band. I went with River Maya because I was a full-fledged member there as opposed to a hired gun.
Yeah.
And that we released our debut record, and that became a hit.
Yeah.
And the tours came after.
Yeah.
And all that.
So full-fledged member, that means also songwriting duties and everything?
Yeah, songwriting and production, having a say in and all that.
Yeah. And what kind of tours were you doing then in the Philippines? I'm not hugely familiar with what the live music scene would have been like.
It's because the center is Manila, so that's where I was based. That's where we were based, and we would go to the to the places outside of Manila. So we would go north. So it's not a tour where we go we'll be gone for a month, and then we'd hit all these places in a loop. It's always in and out of Manila. We'd go from Manila, we'd go to, let's say there's a show, let's say up north, Baguio City. That would be a day trip going there, play the gig, and maybe come back to Manila the next day. Yeah. The southern parts we have to fly, so that would be 2 or 3 days worth and stuff. But it's not like a tour where you start in England and you go to Germany, you go through all of Europe. Yeah. They were eventually able to do that, but I was no longer in the band.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have ambitions as a younger player to kind of ever make a move to America or Europe to play there, where more of the famous kind of international guitarists were?
My high school goal was to go to Berkeley. Okay. After high school, and I based my practice around that. I need to get my chops up. I want to go to Berkeley. And then we looked at the costs, and it was too much for me to move to Berkeley and pay for everything there. Yeah. Because my family wasn't that we were okay, but we weren't that well off. Yeah. It's like mid-level income. So when that fell through, I just wanted to do everything I could myself. So that resource-wise, and then when my career finally started happening in the 90s, and that my goal was to play internationally, not necessarily move anywhere, but I want to be able to play in overseas, to Hong Kong. I want to play a show in the US. I want to play a show in Europe, and all that. And along the way, that got sidetracked because I had to deal with real world issues. So when the chance to move to the US presented itself, I didn't really fight it, because at that point I was maybe an autopilot in the Philippines. I had my studio established. I have a steady set of gigs, but that was pretty much it. There wasn't anything much that I wanted to reach within the Philippines. So when we moved to the US, that was my goal, was to be like a concert classical touring guitarist. Yeah. And I did a bunch of that. I played. I toured as a solo classical guitarist across the U.S., several states, and I managed to play in big venues. I played the Walt Disney Concert Hall. I played, and all that. And yeah, so I guess yes. to answer your question, yes. I'm always wanted to reach a goal, a lofty goal. I'm always reaching for something.
Yeah. And when you finally made that move to the US in 2004, I think you said?
Yes.
Was it what you expected it would be, or was it a massive culture shock? How did you adapt to the life there?
Yes, it's a culture shock. I know. And anytime you're thrown into the deep end of something new, it's always a culture shock. The thing is, language was not that much of a culture shock. There's not much of a language barrier. Yeah. because even if you go to the Philippines right now, you will not encounter a language barrier. Everybody there speaks some sort of English.
Yeah.
Definitely enough to be able to understand each other. So that wasn't it. It's just, suddenly it felt like I was in a very big pool. and it was at first it was different navigating through it, getting used to the thing, and also getting used to doing everything on my own.
Yeah.
Because we were, even though I have an uncle there, it's not a easily accessible support system as the one I had in the Philippines.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And Los Angeles it's the biggest place.
It's the biggest place. Yeah. Yes. So, but then I quickly realized that you don't have to shoot for the entire Los Angeles or the entire United States.
Yeah.
You only need a small part, and you need to define your demographic, and that's who you cater to, and then they will take care of you, as opposed to make the entire United States your goal.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know where to start. It's because, and you would have way more competition. So that's one of the things I needed to define myself more, because if I were to talk to you, like if you were to talk to me when I first moved, and ask me, what do you do? I play guitar. And what style do you play? And then I would answer typically like, oh, I play classical, I play electric, I play rock. And for me, in my thinking, that would show that I'm versatile. And for you would how would you think if you heard that?
Yeah, it's kind of like if someone says something like that, on the one hand I'm thinking, yeah, they can do a whole lot, but I'm wondering, well, what are they actually specialized in?
Yeah, exactly. So that was something that I had to come to grips right away.
Yeah.
Because if for me being vague actually cost me jobs. Because one, they wouldn't know what to have you do.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just shortened that. I'm a guitarist. I mostly play rock guitar. I can play other stuff too, but that's my specialization.
Yeah.
That way there's more of a what do you call it? They can put me in a tiny little box that they can easily access.
Yeah, sure. And when was the moment in America when you started to realize that you were getting somewhere, that you were going to be successful in the LA scene?
Let's see. Here's the thing. I guess I've done okay. I don't really feel like so much of a success yet, because I'm still working because I'm still working on it. That's the thing. Because for me, I'm successful if I'm able to sort of relax and not take care so much about it. But this is something. But then at the same time, I don't think I'll ever be able to do that, because I'm always constantly burnishing and trying to up my game, and in one way or another, trying to get into these interesting situations, just so that everything keeps moving forward. So, but I guess I found my groove several ways. At first, I was able to establish a thriving teaching practice.
Yeah.
I would play. I taught up to 40 students a week. I did that for a while, and then after which, I decided to focus more on performing. So I scaled down on the students and started booking gigs and all that. And now I've scaled down the teaching to just a few select online lessons once in a while, and I've started putting out like courses and more passive instructional material. That way I don't have to repeat myself so much, Yeah, but I don't think I'm a success yet. I'm getting there, hopefully.
Yeah, I guess it depends how you define success, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Also, when we think of you as a YouTuber,
Hmm?
in this little sort of guitar instrument niche that we sort of have in this
Mhm.
corner of the YouTube world.
Hmm.
I said 150,000 subscribers at the start, and you reminded me it was actually more like 267,000. That's pretty big. That's pretty successful in this part of the world.
Yeah.
When I think about the largest channels that we have here at the event, it's like 100,000 is the cutoff point,
Okay.
and then people think, oh, that's a big guy right there.
Yeah, but it's interesting too, because like you see a lot of channels with a lot of subscribers that don't have a lot of views. I mean, I would put myself in that category, because there's if you compare my videos with some of the other channels, they may have less subscribers, but if you arrange their videos in the most popular format, they'd have several million view videos and all that. I mean, I only have one.
Yeah.
And then from there it's a sharp drop.
Yeah.
To half, and then 100, and then pretty much all the rest are between the 5,000 to 10,000 views.
Okay.
So yeah.
What's your viral million plus one? Just out of interest.
Of course, it's the age old joke. We played a Stairway to Heaven in Guitar Center.
Oh, there we go.
Well, we actually did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. And it was a fun video. It was just something that I was on tour with my band from the Philippines. I brought them over for a sort of pseudo reunion tour.
Yeah.
And I took them to the Guitar Center to get extra strings and picks for the tour, and it was shot on my iPhone, it's handheld like that. It's shaky and no color grading, and it's put together really quickly. But then of course it's a meme, Stairway to Heaven, forbidden song in a Guitar Center or whatever. So that and that continues to do well, but it was just a whim.
Yeah.
So it's actually discouraging, because I put a lot of work into the other videos, and they don't get much attention.
It's funny though, because quite a few other guys who I've spoken to on this event and other people who aren't on this event, their biggest viewed videos are just things that they've spontaneously picked up and shot on their phone. The sound quality is much worse than normal. The video production, how it looks, it's just what the phone did, but somehow those videos catch on. And it's a mystery. We need to learn why that happens and how we can replicate that in the studio environment.
It's hard to. Well, it's not that much different from writing a hit song. One of the songs, maybe some of the songs that we all know and love, have really interesting stories behind them. Like, oh, he wrote that in 5 minutes on a piece of paper and recorded it right away. But then those things are very hard to replicate. It's not. And then when you start replicating them, they lose their charm.
Yeah.
So I think people would rather respond to something natural and genuine than something that's replicated. And that's the thing too. For my channel, I've been I shoot for the evergreen content.
Yeah.
Like my most successful video series is the Music Theory for Guitarists, which is basically 8 videos in 6 parts, and I walk you through the rudiments of music, from what is the musical alphabet, how do you find them on the guitar, how do you make chords out of them, how do you make scales out of them, what are the modes, that way that is something that will always be new to somebody.
Yeah, there will always be someone picking up a guitar or someone always at that point in their journey.
Yes.
It's like writing fictional books for kids.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a next generation of kids coming
Exactly.
along who wants to read. Well, hopefully.
Exactly.
Kids don't read much anymore, do they? But you know what I mean.
Well, they
Same
don't write.
principle.
They don't write much anymore.
Yeah.
I caught my son trying to write something on a piece of paper. You're not practicing. you're so used to typing. But anyway, so like those videos right now they're like 500,000 views. But those were released like several years ago, and they just keep going, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather have that.
Do you see yourself mostly as an educator on YouTube, or do you see yourself more of a musician who also happens to educate? And do you also see yourself now as a bit of a gear guy?
Oh, see, my problem when I moved to the US, but telling people that everything I do in one sentence, that is my same problem with my YouTube channel right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I people know me as the music theory guy, and then one demographic knows me as the 10-string classical guitar guy.
Yeah.
And now that I am here, I'm also known as the gear guy, the pedal board guy.
Yeah.
Apparently, the other day I'm known as the fuzz guy because I was playing all the fuzz pedals here.
Yeah, I heard that.
So, and I'm just how do I articulate this? I've decided that I am devoted to the guitar.
Yeah.
Okay, so and that means I'm ready to impart and learn everything everything about every aspect of it.
Yeah.
So from playing to how it works to to teaching it to teaching others what I think about the instrument and how I approach the instrument, be it with music-wise or setup-wise or gear-wise. So in a nutshell, like I mentioned earlier, I just say, I do everything guitar. Like here, the gear, how to record it and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were the first gear videos that you made?
Okay, so my very first gear demo video was a comparison of my different 10-string guitars. And that style of video has been copied by guitar dealers. And what I did was I played a single piece of music. I played the same piece on all the guitars. And I cut it right into the other guitar. That way the whoever's watching can instantly hear the differences between the guitars.
Yeah.
And nobody did that before.
Really?
Yeah.
You were the first.
I was the first to do that, and in classical guitar anyway.
Yeah. Wow. Because I've done that in my own videos, and maybe you were the originator of that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Because before that video came out in 2008, 2010 sometime.
Yeah.
And nobody was doing that.
Yeah.
And then I put it up. I spread the link in the forums. And 2 weeks later, Guitar Salon in Santa Monica published a YouTube video doing the exact same thing. It's like, okay, well, anyway. So that's my first gear video. And then I also, what's the next one? When I started getting back into electric again, I built a pedal board, which is different for me because back in the Philippines I didn't have a pedal board.
Yeah.
If I did use pedals, I'd be on the floor everywhere. So I built a pedal board. I bought the biggest pedal train and tried to fill it up as much as I could. Anyway, so since 2012, 13, I started doing like pedal rundowns, rig rundowns, and all that. And of course, as soon as I shoot that video, either something on the pedal breaks or I get something new and I have to redo it again.
Yeah.
But I don't redo the video. I just wait till next year because it's ever changing.
Yeah.
I've done a demo of the pitchfork when it first came out.
Yeah. Okay.
I did the pitchfork. That was and that was just me. I wanted to make it when I started doing that, I wanted to make it a clear distinction that if I bought the gear myself, I'm going to review it. If somebody gave me the gear, it's a demo. I don't really say much about it.
I remember you talking about this the other night when we were hanging out having dinner, and I've seen a lot of people on this part of YouTube talking about the distinction between a demo and a review and what it is, and that's something that you feel quite strongly about, isn't it?
I do, because if I am being paid to showcase a product, I share my opinions on it, but it's not a review. It's not, I'm not reviewing it because it's not good, because it won't be impartial. But then if I bought the piece of gear myself, I have a dog in the fight, because I have the right to say if it sucks or not.
Yeah.
Because I'm invested in it.
Yeah.
And that comes across more genuine. However, pretty much everybody, all the I guess it's the for somehow it morphed into that everything is a review regardless if it's a demo or not. There's no distinction anymore. Everything's a review. But so, which is kind of unfortunate, I guess.
Yeah.
Or no, actually not unfortunate, confusing.
It's certainly confusing. I mean, for me, when I finally started to do my own videos after watching for years and years, I was not sure what the difference between a demo and a review was, but I kind of came to my own conclusion that a review for me is something where someone tells us their opinion about the product, be it good or bad stuff. I guess the tricky thing to factor in is how they got the product. Are they being paid by a company? Were they simply given the goods by a company? Or did they buy it for themselves? And that's where it gets into an extra layer of confusion. Yeah. So what do you think about some of the channels that we've got here? Because you're not someone who is paid to review or demo gear for a living exclusively. I mean, you do that, of course, but we do have some channels here at 42 Gear Street who use that as their main source of income. I mean, Henning Paulie, for example, is a great example of that.
Yeah.
What do you think about channels like that?
See, now that brings me to the next interesting point, because when I started doing this, there was that clear distinction. Yeah. It was very clear. In Henning's case, he's charging for the production of the video, not his opinion. Yeah. And that in the beginning that was confusing. Yeah. And I'm sure it confused a lot of people. And good on Henning for clearing that up for everybody. Yeah. Because now, on one hand, it does destroy the distinction between a demo and a review now. But on the other hand, it also makes it easier for the rest of us, because it is now well defined. Yeah. So if you say in the beginning of the video that this company sponsored this product and I got this in for free, or they're paying me for the video, for the production of the video, not my opinion. Yeah. Okay, as long as there's that clear distinction, then then it's fine. You can say whatever you want. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a much better norm, much better standard. Yeah. It's
I feel it's improved for everyone, and I feel like Henning personally has a pretty big role to play in having changed the relationship between companies and YouTubers, content creators as well. So
yes, and it's already, and it's and that has already morphed into its own thing, as opposed to if you're looking just for a strict demo guy. Yeah. You have to have a resume for that. But now, if you just enjoy gear and you enjoy talking about gear, you don't have to have a pedigree of sorts to be able to do that.
No.
You can just share your excitement, share whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and with YouTube, everyone is the master of their own channel. Even very average guitar players can publish videos, and I am the living proof of this. You know, it doesn't have to be an expert player. I do agree as well that it is different, and there are certain guys who, when you want to hear a beautifully played and kind of very sort of diverse and various demo of a pedal showing off what it can really do. There are some absolute pure experts there. But these are also possibly people who are not quite right for an event like this that Henning puts on, because I think he likes to put a lot of emphasis on collaboration and chat and honest and open discussion.
Yes.
And I think he would probably say that the talking in the videos, the discussions and the honesty is probably a better video than a pure demo these days.
Yes.
I'm putting words in Henning's mouth maybe there because he's not here to say it, but that's my take on it, and that's what I would assume to be the case.
Yeah. Although, I have a question for you. Okay.
Hey, this is my interview. Go on then, ask me the question.
No, I have a question for you, real quick. Do you think that people reviewing and demoing these guitars, do you think that they should be like really good at playing?
You're talking now about people who exclusively just play, and they're not there, they're not talking, telling you their opinions, they just play.
If you review a gear, how big a factor is it? How big a factor should it be for the reviewer to be able to play guitar really well?
Okay, I see what you mean. I think it's obviously the better the player you are, the more you can do. I think that's an advantage. I regard that in the same way as I regard music theory. You don't have to know it, and many really famous musicians and songwriters don't.
Yeah.
But if you know it, you've got these extra tools that you can use. And I see that with musicianship as well. And I know for a fact, for example, with my channel, that if I was able to perform more complex kinds of solos and lead techniques, I would probably get a bigger following quicker on the platform. Because that's definitely an impressive thing. But I don't believe that you have to be a very technically proficient player to demonstrate a piece of gear. A lot of the music that I personally like as well, using me as an example, is indie and punk and rock and roll, and there's not a lot of lead work in the stuff that I do. And the videos that I do, I like to showcase a lot of the styles that I personally play. It's bar chords and open chords and the odd riff here and there. For me, that works, and if that's good enough for someone who's interested in that, then that's fine. If you want to hear a technically proficient player, there's lots of those out there as well. I guess for me, it's a case of everyone has the freedom to make the videos and watch the videos they want. So if there's someone out there for you who you like, you go and watch them. And actually, another example that I would just bring in is like recently we've started to see more companies working with YouTubers. And we've seen, for example, recently Walrus Audio, they had a chorus pedal called the Julia, which came out. And on the day of release of that pedal, I think there were at least 20 videos. There's 20 videos of a new chorus pedal on the same day on YouTube. And I think it's got to the stage where you don't really rank it in order of who's the best player. You pick the person. You pick the person who you identify with most. I think a lot of it is character driven. And I think possibly, you've got a fan base of people who just love Perfecto for being Perfecto? Perfecto.
It's tricky to say fast.
Yeah, exactly. For those people, whether you're riding a mountain bike or whether you're here doing some silly stuff with Henning or doing an interview or teaching them theory, they're going to watch it for you. So that was a long answer to a short question.
No.
Yeah, I think technique is important, sure, but it's not essential in the way it might have been a few years ago.
Now, if you were asked that as a viewer, not as a YouTuber, would that still be the same answer?
Well, some of my favorite YouTube channels, I guess, are similar to me. I don't watch a lot of very proficient YouTubing. I like to go to educators to learn stuff when I need to learn stuff.
I see.
But I'm also not someone who needs to learn massive amounts of techniques.
Right.
Let me use another example from someone who was at a previous Gear Street, Tom Quayle. I love Tom. We're good mates. He's an absolutely monster player. But he doesn't play the kind of music that I personally play on the guitar or listen to.
Yes.
And I like to listen to him talk about stuff, but he's not a channel I would click on to learn about the gear.
I see.
You know?
Okay.
Another person who I've been a massive fan of over the years and who I also know very well is Rabia Massad.
Yes.
And I just love some of the riffs that he does, the progressive and atmospheric things that he does.
Yes.
He's, of course, a monster player as well in his own right.
Real monster player.
Yeah. But I think for me, it often comes down to someone playing the kind of music that I would like, the kind of songs that I would like to play using that gear.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
The only reason why I ask is I've gotten a couple of comments in my videos like I don't know if because the playing is so good, I don't know if the guitar is good as well. You know, because
you do see that a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
You see comments on videos about
about
people like Tom Quayle where they say, yeah, he could plug into a potato and it would sound great.
Exactly.
That's pretty much the comment you see all the time.
Exactly. And I did a couple of paid sponsored videos for Donner guitars, and I also did the cheapest Telly, the Glary guitar.
Yeah.
I did a video series on that, and those were sponsored. On one hand, a lot of people appreciated that I played a really cheap guitar, thus proving that it's not the guitar, it's the player.
Yeah.
So that's one camp.
Yeah.
And then the other camp is it's not fair because you can make anything sound good.
Yeah.
So that actually made me conflicted, because so am I polishing the excuse the term, am I polishing the turd so much to actually be to the point where it's actually no longer a turd?
Yeah, that's totally another side of the argument.
Yeah.
And I've definitely seen videos like that with certain bits of very affordable gear where it's someone who I know always sounds amazing and always sounds like themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I have wondered, the other aspect of that is, when you see a reviewer who's amazing playing an affordable guitar, you also wonder, is that guitar the same guitar that you would get if you ordered it online or bought it in a store? And I don't mean, is it made of different woods or anything, but I mean, how long did the company spend setting up that guitar for the YouTuber to make it absolutely perfect?
I will say that the ones I got were not set up. so you will get the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So in an effort to answer that question, I did the last video of that series was comparing the Glary $89 Glary guitar with my Shabbat Lion Standard, and it was funny because the comments, some of the comments preferred the Glary over the Shabbat. And then of course there's there's a group that preferred the Shabbat. They knew what to listen for and they heard the difference.
Yeah.
And then still another group says, oh, it doesn't matter what you play.
Yeah.
You're gonna sound like you. So I made it a point. I pointed out in that video that yes, I can play both guitars and generally sound like me, and I can play my licks.
Yeah.
But on the cheaper guitar, it takes so much work.
Yeah.
Even just holding the chord, I have to hold it a particular way so that I don't pull it out of tune, or keeping it in tune, keeping it out of tune. Also, the question of sustain, because the tone is really plinky and it doesn't sustain much. I ended up playing a lot more notes.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Shabbat, where the sustain is beautiful, so I played really slowly and I took my time. Yeah. Some people didn't get it, and they still it's like, I'll take. You spent too much on that $3,000 guitar.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, we come from very different places and we've done very different things, industry-wise and music-wise. But I feel like we both come from a similar position in terms of what we think is the best way to produce a video. And overall, what I'm sensing from you is honesty.
Yes, definitely.
Telling
Always.
the truth. You know,
Always.
I come from a background of also having worked for the press, and you know, the music instrument press is another kind of aspect that you could talk about, because obviously if you look at magazines historically, pretty much every guitar which is reviewed gets a great review. And you know, not every guitar which is reviewed is actually great. It's just that's the way things were done back in the day with magazines. And of course, the companies that get reviewed in the magazines, they just so happen to have big adverts in the same magazines, which cost a lot of money. So I'm not saying there's a correlation there, but there probably is a correlation.
Well, technically, those reviews are extensions of the advertising.
That's exactly what they are. Yeah. And I think that with YouTube today, people producing videos on their own for other people to watch, that gives a transparency to it that we've never had before. And that's a huge advantage for everyone out there who's interested in learning about these products. And I guess that's another way why it's cool to have such a variety of different levels of players and different kinds of people doing the videos.
Yes, exactly. Because if you're interested in a particular guitar and Mr. Shredder, you see a video of Mr. Shredder doing it, and it's like, I'll never be able to do that. So you just search for that guitar and look for a person that you can relate to, and that's what you'll enjoy. And you'll be better informed.
Exactly. Who are some of your favorite YouTubers in this part of the world?
Oh, pretty much. When I found the list of the channels participating here, I was introduced to a bunch of new guys that I have never heard before. But I was also very happy and glad that some of the channels that I regularly watch are coming over. I really like Paul David's. I've followed his channel since it was just a backing track channel. And with the odd instructional here and there, and I'm glad he made the switch to like full-time YouTuber. I watch Pete Thorne. Sometimes I watch Tim Pierce. We're interested for the instructional stuff. For gear, I've watched your channel.
Really?
Yeah, I've watched your channel.
Oh wow, thanks a lot.
And the show you do with I can never pronounce his name.
Vlad,
yes.
Catpic Studios.
Yes. Catpic. There you go, Catpic.
Yeah.
Vlad, and then of course I watch Henning's videos. I watch Henning's videos if I want to learn everything about the gear, because he always does a deep dive stuff.
That's another thing though, right? I mean, there's so many different YouTubers out there, so many different people making videos about the same products, but Henning, for example, would approach it so differently to Paul David's. There's so many options for you out there to see the gear, the same piece of instrumentation in such different contexts. And
Henning does shine the light into the aspects of the gear that pretty much everybody else glosses over. I remember watching his ES8 video or ES5, Boss ES5, which is like on, I don't know how many 60 minutes long on a pedal switcher. But then I got the info that I needed from this video, so it's perfect. So watching all these channels, I kind of look for things that I could apply to my own channel as well, or things that I shouldn't do because they've already done. I watch RJ Ronquillo a lot.
Oh, I love
his channel. I mean, his live streams are the people are very engaged. So that's something I really enjoy. Where else? And I watch non-guitar YouTube channels as well. Potato Jet. I watch him. Then I watched the latest YouTube channel that I've gotten into is a mountain bike channel. It's called Joy of Bike. And he approaches the mountain biking in a very hippie zen kind of way. That is, although it's mountain bike specific, it's applicable in many areas of your life. So it's cool.
Well, the other thing is, I also watch other types of channels. I have other hobbies too, a few besides the music and the gear and stuff. And you can also learn a lot about how those channels do it. And a lot of those other channels, sports or hobbies or whatever, those are much bigger channels than guitar. You'll see people with 10, 20 million subscribers.
Oh, yeah.
We can learn so much in terms of production techniques and keeping videos interesting, that kind of thing.
Yes, definitely.
Do you do that? Do you watch, say, the mountain biking ones and say, I could take that and apply it to my channel?
Oh, yeah. And I also watch a lot of, who's that popular photography guy?
Oh, Peter.
Pete McKinnon.
Peter McKinnon, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't, just for production value, how he frames cameras. Because, for one thing, I do everything myself. I shoot everything myself. I set everything up myself. And since I'm already so much invested in the guitar side of things, there's simply no time for me to learn to pick up and get into another hobby.
Yeah.
Or get into the nerdy details of cameras and frame rates and resolutions and all that. So I look to those channels mainly to learn about specific things. Like jump cuts or video editing stuff. Or transitions. But after a while, since I do everything myself and I need to do other things as well, I just found a quick and easy workflow for me as far as video editing goes. That will be more sustainable. But I used to plan for it. I would have a shot where a guitar would go like this in front of the camera. And then that would be my transition wipe and all that. It's fun, but it also takes just too much time. Like I'd end up editing for 2 days before I put the video up. So anyway, so I watch a lot of other, usually my YouTube suggestion list is pretty spot on. Unless, my kid or my wife goes on my account and searches for something else. Then I'm flooded with all that crap.
And where do you see your channel going in the next 3, 5, maybe even 10 years? What's planned?
Okay, so I have relationships with companies that are non-exclusive. So I'm probably welcome more brands in. Few more brands in, thanks to Gear Street. And just doing more work. I'm also moving towards where I'm trying to figure out a way that I can meld everything together, like the gear aspect and the demo aspect and everything else in one package. That way everything is, I don't have to, that way my content is more cohesive. Okay, so I've started to do that. I think I'm on a path where I'll be able to sustain it. And I've started already. It's like short clips of solos, and then towards the end I just roll the B-roll of the gear that I used and all that. So I'm going to try to incorporate, apply that in an instructional setting. And that will be and that will be my videos moving forward. I've also I've started working with a video editor, so some of my videos look better than when I edit them. So that's another thing too. And it just, I think I want to make more music playing videos, because for the past few months I've been doing a lot of gear stuff. There is music, but there's a lot of talk of gear as well. So now I wanna make it a tighter package, so to speak.
Originals music again, or?
Oh, they're all original. Because I just realized last year I wrote 40 songs as gear demos.
Just last year.
Just last year. for the gear demos.
That's pretty good. Do you release them as well as
That's the other thing
Spotify or whatever?
That's the other thing too. That's why I want to focus more on playing, so that I can focus on the music to get them ready for release.
Yeah.
Because the thing that I didn't realize last year was that I spent so much time mucking around with the video and product demos.
Yeah.
That I didn't have much time to properly, clean up the arrangements and tighten them up and get them ready for release. Because that's another entirely different process in itself.
Yeah.
It's not like I run a DAW session, play into it, hit bounce, and then it goes on iTunes. It's not like that. It's a lot more involved process.
Yeah.
And if I'm worrying about doing the next demo video and writing the song for that demo video and this gear comes in, it's a bit much, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the gear serve the song as opposed to writing the song so that I can demo the gear.
Yeah.
So that's going. I'm going to move into that workflow for the next few months.
Yeah. And would you see YouTube then as being your full-time thing in the future completely, or would you like it to be?
Well, it since last year it pretty much is.
It kind of is, yeah.
Because we have no choice. we have no choice.
Yeah.
And I was very blessed to be in that position that I could do that transition really quickly. Yeah. I will continue to perform. I have a local band in LA. We pretty much play every weekend because that also ties in with the gear thing.
Yeah, sure.
Because now there's like real world use of gear. I can honestly say that. Let's say this PJD guitar is very reliable at gigs because I've been gigging with it for 5 months.
Yeah.
I have not this guitar, but eventually this guitar.
But at some point this guitar will be a guitar that you gig with. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so and it just makes me feel more confident in saying that because I've done it and I can prove it.
Yeah. So
I'll probably just keep doing what I've been doing, and it's not because income is part of it, but that's not all of it because it's also like feeding your soul and that. Yeah. So just continue and keep doing what I do.
Yeah, and making it bigger and coming back to 42 Gear Street
4
and 5.
5 and 6 and whenever they'll have me, and hopefully I get to visit and check out the other events too, like Guitar Summit. That would be good.
Have you ever been to the Guitar Summit?
I have not been.
No.
I was supposed to go last year.
Oh.
After Gear Street, I was supposed to hang out for another week and then go to Guitar Summit, but then it didn't happen.
Yeah, such a shame because Guitar Summit is a great event. It's a big event, so it's in the NAMM format kind of, but it's as close to being 42 Gear Street as it could possibly be for a bigger event.
Yes.
It's a German kind of gear event held in a city called Mannheim, not too far from here, and it's just a few thousand German, mostly people walking around, looking at gear, looking at stuff and having fun. There's a lot of brands there, and it's a very informal environment, and it's a great place, or it was, the last time it happened, for YouTubers to go around and make videos and hang out with each other. There's also lots of artists there who do clinics and play shows in the evening and stuff. And it was such a shame when it got cancelled last year, and it's also been cancelled this year. And fingers crossed next year.
Hopefully next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and do more guitar shows and all that, and just and expand relationships with brands and other YouTubers, and just try to be a good person.
That's the most important thing. Yeah, just very briefly then, seeing as we just touched on the PJD and we are at 42 Gear Street, tell me about a couple of the best things that you've seen here before we finish this interview. Okay,
so there's a lot of great gear on 42 Gear Street. It's like so much gear.
Yeah.
It's overload and it's impossible to simply feature everything. Pretty much all the brands that came here are at the top of the game.
Yeah.
You know, there's no crap. There's no crap here. So there's no crap, but and there are a lot of standouts. PJD guitars is a standout for me. At first, I didn't really know what to think of them. They're really quirky, you know. But I picked one up. It was a black Carry, very stripped down. I played it, and it's like, whoa! It feels like I've been playing this guitar for a long time. It's very comfortable. I can find my way around the guitar neck, and then when I plugged one in, it just, you know, completed the experience for me.
Yeah.
Because they sound good. They sound great. They're very responsive. And these are in the mid, you know, not cheap range, but not overly expensive either. It's in a good range where there's a lot of competition.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but it's not an impossible to get guitar. You know, it's very accessible to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it, because I mean, some of the other standouts here are should stand out because they cost 3, 4, 5 times more.
Yeah.
You know, and even for someone like me, that is something that I'll never be able to afford, or I'll never be able to get. And yeah, so anyway, so this I've found a newfound love for fuzz at Year Street. And fuzz is a sound that I will never use live. There is no use. There isn't a practical use for me for it. In the band I'm in.
Yeah.
At home in the studio, I can write music around the sound, so that's fine. But it's just a sound that I've come to really, really love. So the Beatronics ones.
Yeah.
The Chris Jupiter.
Yeah.
Fuzz pedals, you know, and prior to that, I just thought of fuzz as just this, you know, it's a big, it's a big fuzzy, warmy, broken up sound.
Yeah.
But in the short days of Gear Street, I've been exposed to a lot of different shades of fuzz they're all great and usable and musical and awesome, you know.
Yeah.
What else? The Engel amps. I've known the brand, but I haven't really played them.
Yeah.
So it's great to be able to play them. The Friedman video that we did, I haven't played the BE Mini yet, but it's in line with my experience of all the Friedman amps.
Yeah.
So that was really good. I finally got to plug into Henning's Soldano SLO 100.
Yeah.
Which is my dream amp. It's the sound that was in my head ever since I was like 16, 17, 18. And prior to this, I've only really played through amp models of Soldano. Although I did play Stevie Ray Vaughan Soldano once at NAMM with my Soldano. Okay. And that was my very first experience with a real Soldano amp. Yeah. Yeah, and after that, it's like I can't go back to modeling. So it's a treat to be able to play the real SLO. The Rev Generator Watermelon. Unfortunately, it's in a spot where I'm booked the least. But the few times that I've been able to plug into that amp, it's really, really good. So whoever wins the auction will be very happy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then Little Azenens, the Ibanez. The Ibanez headless those are cool. I was very skeptical of them in the beginning, but you know, after having played them, it's okay. Yeah. Yeah. And who else? Everybody's great, dude. So
there's just so much.
Yeah, Heritage guitars. I played their single cut in my very first video, and that was really enjoyable too. Yeah. The Harmony guitars, which I guess they're finally they're all built in the U.S. and those are really good guitar values too. I don't know. I'm gonna end up mentioning everybody.
Every single brand that's been at the event, yeah.
You know, so they're all great people and great brands, and they all come up with cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like you say, loads and loads of cool stuff. And there is so much 42 Gear Street 3 content to see.
Yes.
There's a few videos with Perfecto and me in them that you can catch. There will be links in the description. Mm-hmm. You'll need to check out all of his as well, but search for the hashtag 42GS3 and you will find all of it, and there will be an awful lot of it, won't there? Because it's been a very productive 4 days, I think, for everybody.
And I believe somebody will eventually compile a playlist of it too, so we can link to that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, there we go then. Thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'll leave you with one final question.
Okay.
We're going to go out and gig tonight.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's a theoretical question, but we might. There might be some kind of jam going on. But you're out tonight, you're up on stage, and you're told you can put together a band to play a short set, 3 or 4 songs. Mm-hmm. You're on guitar, possibly vocals, it's up to you. Mm-hmm. But you can pick any drummer, any bassist, any other guitar player, any other keyboardist if you want. Who's your dream band to put together? What would you be playing?
Oh, God, the dream band. Oh, man. That is so difficult. Okay. I'd probably get Dean Castronova on drums, and he can sing some tunes as well. For bass, maybe T.M. Stevens from Steve Vai's band a while back. I really liked him. I'd get Richie Kotzen on guitar. Yeah.
He can sing as well.
And he can sing as well. And I'd like David Coverdale to front it. And I'd just be the lone person in the very front row watching them. Yeah, I'd produce that band. But yeah, if Kotzen can't, if Richie Kotzen can't do it, then I'll play guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. For keyboards, there's a. Nah, it'll be a guitar-based band.
Yeah.
So those guys. It's weird.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent lineup. I'd be interested to come and watch you play.
Okay.
So if you ever put a band together with guys like that, then let us all know.
Yeah, well, I'll send them a text later.
Yeah. Sure, you've got them on speed dial, all of them, yeah. Well, anyway, thank you so much for taking the time,
so
Perfecto. It's been fantastic having you on. There's more videos with me and Perfecto, links in the description. Check out his channel if you don't know it already. Again, more links for you in the description down there. Thank you to Henning Pauly and to everybody else involved in this 42 Gear Street event for being able to bring, people like us together again into the same room for the first time in a long time.
And we have been doing it very safely.
That's what I was going to say, during this pandemic time.
Yeah, because even though there's no plexiglass right here, we came to the event healthy and vaccinated and tested negative. In fact, I had my antigen test earlier this morning to get ready for my flight back to the US, and I tested negative. So past 4 days have been very safe. And hopefully, if you're not vaccinated yet, please consider it so that we can help improve this whole situation for the whole world.
Yep, there we go. So that's been it for today's video. I've been Rich for Rich Words Music, and I hope you've enjoyed it, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.